Hey, good morning. Welcome to all you reversionists out there, as the White House likes to call you, threats to democracy. How are you all today? Welcome to American Reversion. Welcome to all the new people, by the way, who have joined recently. I check every couple of days and see our subscriber count is growing both on the YouTube and on Patreon. And by the way, thank you especially for all of you who have come over to join Patreon to support us. If you like this channel and you want to support us, that's a great way to do it. The link is always down below. We put extra stuff over on Patreon that you may or may not see other places. So it's not only a way for you to support us, but for us to kind of give you some things that sometimes will be interesting, sometimes will be funny, you'll get a chuckle, but it's something that I think you'll enjoy checking every day. So we want to give you some benefit for your dollar or whatever. I know some of you are giving a lot more than $1 a month. We appreciate that. It is not that we ask for that. We do give you the ability through different levels to do whatever you would like. Thank you so much, because it helps us do what we do. Oh, by the way, I guess I've been a bad boy. YouTube gave me a warning and took down one of my. I won't even say which one it was. So if you happen to know which I've put up in the last week and you see one missing, that was it, because I was a horrible person and talked about something that I shouldn't have. So they pulled it down and gave me a warning. So we're going to talk about conspiracy in just a second. But for the most part, after I cover the one little juicy part, I want to talk about flying the flag, showing the flag. This kind of has to do with conspiracy, but not really. We're going to get to that in a minute. Should I say it right up front that this is brought to you, as all of ours are, by The Reversion, the book after which I named this chapter. It's the first book of the Stonemont series, the series that I wrote about preparing for, surviving, and recuperating, rebuilding after a total collapse of the country and the world. Boy, aren't we seeing something like that now. Also, the links down there, how you can get those either through Amazon or from me autographed. And I love doing that. Do you like conspiracies? I do. I don't spend a lot of time on them. And I'll be real honest, when I hear of a new one, I look at it with a very skeptical eye. Now, the interesting thing, and now the reason that I do, because I'm an old police investigator, right? And so I come at it from the point of show me the evidence. So when people come out and they make claims, I go, well, okay, show me the evidence. Why do you think that's true? Why is it? And then I will consider it, and I do not consider it with a bias. I'll look at it, and then I'll look at evidence that may contradict it or seems to, whatever like that. And evidence comes in two forms. It comes in physical evidence, or it comes in testimony. And so much of what we get, in our world here is testimony, but some is physical evidence. Well, all that being said, even though I haven't taken a lot of time, to look into all of the conspiracies as much as I find them interesting. And when I used to be up late at night, I'd listen to Art Bell, and no, I don't believe that there are people living in the core of the earth, and I don't believe that there is a doorway to the core of the earth through the South Pole. I don't believe that we have aliens living amongst us. I don't believe in Sasquatch or Bigfoot or whatever it's called. It doesn't mean that it may not happen. I simply haven't seen the evidence for it. Okay? Show me the evidence. Until then, I'm perfectly willing to accept that it could be. Okay? But accepting that it could be is different than believing in it, if you get my drift there. Okay, right? There are some of the biggies. And did I already say this? Because I started this once before, and then my son left for school, so I'm starting again. Almost every conspiracy theory that I have spent any time looking into, I have ended up pretty much believing it. Not that I'm gullible, but because the preponderance of the evidence led me to that belief. Interesting, right? So when I say that I don't necessarily believe these other conspiracies, maybe it's just that I haven't looked into them far enough. Maybe there's something to them, and of course, maybe there's not. But I'm gonna throw something out there to you that'll give you something to chew on and think about for the rest of the day. Are you all familiar with? Well, before I ask that, it has to do with the real reason for the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Everybody has an opinion, right? By the way, Judge Napolitano said something the other day that pretty much irritated me until I heard him explain it himself. And of course, when you read something in a headline writers specialize in grabbing you. You know, it's clickbait. It's like, you know, we do try to find titles as YouTube creators. We try to find titles that will reach out and grab the potential audience and make them want to watch the video. You know, a lot of people crack on people for that, but hey, that's what it's always been. To be honest, I'm not very good at it. I got to get better. But when I read the headline of something Napolitano said the other day, and I don't know what aggregator it was. It could have been on Drudge, which has turned completely anti-Trump, has been forever. It said something like, Napolitano, Trump will be indicted soon. Okay, well, maybe. Well, I heard him, where did I hear him on? It was on Newsmax last night, I believe. And whose show was he on? It doesn't matter. Anyway, he says, no, he says, I think that Trump will be indicted soon. I don't think he should be. And that's the point. I don't think he should be, but I think he will be because they want to. And, you know, taken in that context, I agree with him. It's kind of like, see, an indictment is just like an impeachment. An indictment is taking certain information in front of a judge or a grand jury, and and presenting enough for the court to say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and take this to trial. So it's not the same as the indictment. Well, the indictment itself is a charge. Let's get out of the legal weeds, shall we? But there's an old saying that a jury can indict a ham sandwich. A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich because the prosecution is the only side that presents its case. And it's just like an impeachment. You take it in front of a group, you know, like the Democrats, and they want to take a person to trial. And a lot of people don't understand what impeachment is. I know all of you do because you're intelligent, but those people sitting behind you may not. And when it means impeached, that just simply means, okay, now we're going to take it to trial. We're going to try them. And that's why Trump was impeached twice, but not found guilty at all. You know. Okay, that's why Clinton was impeached. And Nixon was not. Everybody thinks that Nixon was impeached. No, he wasn't. The Republicans went up there and said, you know what? Well, I'm not going to get into that. That was another day. So anyway, when Napolitano said that he's going to be indicted, yeah, I think he might be because they want to. And they want it. I wouldn't be surprised that they would indict him before the November elections, because it's going to be such a great headline to help the Democrats. By the way, did you hear that Sarah Palin lost up in what some consider to be deep red Alaska? Not as deep red as many people think, but she is the person who beat her is the first Democrat that's been elected up there in 50 years. I forget her name, doesn't matter. Why did Sarah Palin get beat? She's going to have her detractors that say, well, all sorts of things. But they put in those tricky little voting rules, which I forget exactly how it works or what it's called, but it's ridiculous. And they put in mail-in ballots. Simple as that. And she lost. That's the way it's coming. So Alaska is going to be joining Oregon and California and Washington. They've just added the whole left coast is going crazy. What is it? Is it the strong wind coming across the Pacific from China that is making everybody inhale communism? So now, the conspiracy. I've posted the whole thing up over on Patreon, the whole video. It's a Rumble video put out by J.D. Rucker. And he offers a very interesting conspiracy theory of why, or what the real reason behind the Mar-a-Lago raid was. And it has to do with, how do you say her name? Ghislaine, Maxwell? Well, he lays out some interesting things. Now, they put her in solitary. And, as many people have said, hey, why haven't we seen any of the client lists? Why have there been no prosecutions if all these super bad things were going on, right? We got what's his name? Epstein, who killed himself, right? And then we got Maxwell, who hasn't, as far as we know, killed herself yet. Epstein has been associated with the CIA, Maxwell with the Mossad, intelligence gathering, and that specialize in blackmail for control and things like that. And what better way, as we know, with Epstein Island to develop blackmail potential? Well, it seems that in her cell, in solitary, she had an interview. And in the interview, she said something particularly odd. She made up an imaginary cellmate who she named A-17. And a lot of people kind of looked at this and said, well, that's odd. First off, why would a grown person make up an imaginary cellmate? I don't know. I mean, what's that stupid movie with Tom Hanks to where he got left on an island? I never saw it because that never appealed to me, and I don't like Hanks. I guess he was left on an island and he made friends with a volleyball or something. I get it. Solitary can do funny things to people. But anyway, she said in this, she says, well, sometimes the shower would turn on, nobody's around, the toilet would flush, I don't know. And, they would check on her every 15 minutes, making sure that she hadn't done any, Epsteined herself. And she says, so she made up, whenever something would happen and the guards would come around, she maintains, they were concerned, she blamed it on her imaginary cellmate, A-17. Sounds like it ought to be a song, doesn't it? A-17. Steely Dan, do something like that. And so people go, what is this A-17? So J.D. Rucker comes up and he shows that one of the boxes that they took out of Mar-a-Lago. And remember, everybody who knows anything about this says there's no reason for this to have been done the way it was, including using the FBI's hostage rescue team. But one of the boxes taken out of there, and I forget, was it box 12, I think he said, was marked, was labeled and listed as A-17. So he is, putting it out there for everyone's consideration. Is there information in that box that she is trying to get a message out to the world? That there's information in that box regarding all these things that, people hoped would come out and haven't? Okay. I'll leave that there because I don't have the answer, but it's one of those things that's interesting to think about. And if you want to do your own deep dive, like I say, I put Rucker's show over there. It's a Rumble show over on Patreon. Go watch that. I think and then leave your comments. Talk about it. I know you all are smart folks, so talk about it. I'll be interested to hear what you say. It'll give me something to chew on too. Flying the flag. We're coming up, and I expect for things to get real after Labor Day. It's just kind of a mental hurdle that we have to get past before we get into the fall, to really thinking about fall, and in election years to really thinking about the election years. We know that Uncle Joe has come out with some more insane gun quotes. I can't even think of them right now, but it's gonna get weirder and it's gonna get sillier. But it's also time for us to stand up. So one of the things that I like to do is to wear this, especially as things get crazier, right? So I go out. I went out yesterday. I had a couple errands to run. I went to Menards and I went to Home Depot and I went to our local grocery store. And so I put on this cap because I like to see the reactions that I get. I think I may have told you before, I'm not sure if on this channel, but I know I've talked about it over on Integrative Preparedness, about the difference in how people act when you're wearing a cowboy hat. And you know that my video on cowboy hat etiquette and superstitions is one of my highest viewed videos over on Integrative Preparedness. I don't know if you all are interested in that, but if you are, let me know and I'll do one here. If you just want to go over there and check that, you can do that. But they really do. When I'm wearing a hat out, people are nicer. People will smile at me. People hold doors for me. People call me sir. All sorts of things, So it's interesting what makes people. And con men have always known this, dress apart to elicit certain reactions from other people, or look apart, or act, everybody knows this. But it's interesting when I wear this, and I'm a believer in putting my opinion out there if it, does not present a danger, to me or my family or anyone else. So I put this on, and it was interesting. When I went to Menards, I had a number of people nod at me and smile, good. And for the most part, men, but there were mostly men there. And then I went to our grocery store, Hy-Vee, and I walked around, and I made it a point. I only needed a couple of things, but I decided to walk up and down aisles a lot more than I normally would. If I didn't need to go up and down those aisles, I just wanted to walk by with the cap on. And particularly when I saw an aisle full of people, I went down that aisle and I walked slowly, and I make it a point and I look at people. Now, when I'm out and about, for the most part, unless I'm in a hurry, I'm a very polite and courteous person, and I'll nod to people, and I'll put on my friendly face. I have one of those resting mad faces, that if I'm not thinking about it, I look like I'm ticked off when I'm not. But I will consciously put on my, my kind of pleasant and approachable face, and I do that, when I'll nod to people, men and women, doesn't make any difference, and I hold doors for people, things like that. Well, so in Hy-Vee, the grocery store, I'm going up and down the aisles, and I'm doing the same thing. And I made a particular effort, because I was wearing this, to smile and nod and say hello to people as we're going down there. And I didn't get a single positive response. Now, almost all of them were women. Interesting. Not all. There were a couple of grumpy old men in there. But I got people looking at me and actually turning away. Interesting. And then I went to Home Depot. And in Home Depot, again, almost all men. And you know what? You ladies out there, I know that if you'd been there, you would have said hello and you would have smiled, because the women in our group are hardcore good, stout. And I don't mean stout like big. What I mean is stalwart women, who live according to the proper principles. I know you all would have said, "Hello, I love your hat." Well, so when I'm going through Home Depot, I got a lot of nods and smiles from not all. There were some guys in there that of a particular type that kind of. I wonder if by saying a particular type, if that's hate speech, even though nobody knows what I meant. Could be, could be one of 100 types, but after all, I didn't say something positive about somebody. And finally, when I'm checking out, I didn't have anybody say something, and occasionally I do, said, "Like your hat?" Well, I got up to check out, and I hear this voice behind me, a guy saying, hey, show her your hat. And actually, this isn't a hat, this is a cap. Difference between caps and hats. So I turn around, and this guy is saying, yeah, sure. Come here. He's talking to a woman who works there. I says, "Look at his cap." And so I didn't know, so I smiled, and I'm ready for either one, right? Friendly or not friendly. Because if they're going to be unfriendly with me, I'm not necessarily going to be unfriendly with them, but I'm going to be direct. And I have an opportunity to share my opinions, and that's what I do. So this lady comes over, and she works there as a cashier, and she's Chinese, and she has a very thick Chinese accent. And I won't try to emulate the accent. People will call me racist if I did that. But she just says, "Oh yes, Trump." She says, "I'm from." She told me where she was from. She was actually from mainland China. She told me where it was. I'm not that up on China. So I don't know where all the different provinces are. She says, "Yes, we need that." She says, they wouldn't be doing this over there with Taiwan if Trump were in. We got to get him back. And people all around were watching and listening. And so I kept it going. When I saw that there was kind of a group around, people paying, and it's not like a group formed around us, but there were people paying attention. I said, okay, this is what I'm out here for. This is why I wear it. And so I just kind of kept it going. I says, that's exactly right. It's just a shame what they're trying to do to the man, isn't it? Yes. She says, he is a good man. America needs him. We need him. China, they would not be doing this if Trump were in, and this weak Biden and all this kind of stuff. Well, she made my case much better than I would. And interestingly enough, so many of the people, I'm sure, listened to her, being a Chinese woman with an obvious Chinese accent, showing she was from China. And it's just kind of sad, but it's the way that it is. So I'm sure more people paid attention to what she said than some white guy, right, wearing a Trump cap. But I got it served its purpose. I got done what I wanted to get done. So my point here is, these are not times to lay low. These are not times to like the wishy-washy people that say, well, I don't know about Trump. I don't know. Hey, if you want more of Biden, just don't stand up against it. And I know, again, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the guy behind you, or the girl behind you, or the woman behind you. But it's the time to stand up. And when you go out there, and I am not one for putting things on your car, because you're not always with your car, right? And it can get keyed if you have a bumper sticker on it, because the other side does that. Our side never does that, but they do. So I wouldn't put any stickers on your car. But get out there, and this is the time that we can fight properly, meaning fight by representing our side, our thoughts, our beliefs. Do you not agree with everything in the world that Trump says, does, stands for, believes in, whatever like that? Congratulations, neither do I, but I probably don't agree with everything that you do. And you probably don't agree with everything that I think. And that's all right, because we're all individuals. But, you know, we have to decide, where do we stand on things? Do we want America to go the way it is now and to continue going that direction and go faster than it has in the past? Well, then just don't do anything, because it will. You know, inertia. An object in motion will tend to remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Okay? Well, it's going in a direction. You're the potential outside force. Are you going to stand up and act on that or not? And are you going to step up and try to have an effect on the people around you, your friends, your family, the people that you run across? And even when you go out, take the opportunity. $15. Get out there, and whether you are a big Trump fan or not, are you a big fan of America? Because America's going into the hole, and if you want any chance to save it, you got to do something about it. Okay? All right, I'm going to leave it there. It's time for my second cup of coffee. You all have a good day. Remember, America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it. And one way, you know, you can help, if you want to support us, again, like I say, come join us on Patreon. We'd love to have you over there. The link is down below. You get extra stuff, and it supports us, and we appreciate it. Okay, so I'll probably be back later today. If not, I have kind of a busy day. I'll be back tomorrow because I have something kind of important about a horrendous police shooting that I want to talk about. Okay, you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.